Okay, so like imagine you walk into this huge library
Mm-hmm.
and it's filled with like every book ever written.
Okay.
But there's no Dewey Decimal System.
Oh,
There's
no.
no librarian to help you out. And you have absolutely no idea where to start.
Right?
It's pretty overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what the world of AI feels like right now.
Yeah. I can see that.
There's so much potential, so much to learn.
Yeah.
It's easy to get lost.
Totally. And that's where these things called AI maturity models come in.
Okay.
They're like, having that personalized roadmap to help you navigate this whole like big and complex world of AI,
Right, right.
especially if you're like just starting to explore.
So it's like a guide that says, hey, here's where you are in your AI journey. And
Exactly.
here are the steps you need to take to like level up your AI game.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this deep dive, we're going to be looking at this blog post by Debrada Pruzith.
Okay.
It's called Unlocking AI Success, the Ultimate Guide to AI Maturity Models.
Catchy title.
It is.
Yeah.
So what I found really interesting about this post is that it breaks this whole complex topic
Mm-hmm.
down into 7 key components of AI maturity,
Okay.
or like you could even call them pillars.
Yeah.
And it provides a framework, like you said, for understanding where an organization stands,
Right.
or even like where you personally stand in terms of AI readiness.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so 7 pillars.
7.
That sounds manageable.
Yeah, definitely.
But before we get into those, can you like just take a step back for a second
Sure.
and explain like what exactly IS and AI maturity model?
Okay. So imagine like a fitness tracker, right?
Okay.
But instead of tracking your steps or your sleep, it's tracking a business
Okay.
and how they're doing with AI.
Interesting.
So it helps them see like where are they at, what are their strengths and weaknesses,
Right.
and then like what are the steps they need to take to really use AI well.
Got it. So it's not just about having the latest AI tech, it's about having a plan and having the right setup to actually use AI in a way that makes sense for your business.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so that's where these 7 pillars come in.
Yes.
And they cover, like you said, everything from strategy to like building a culture that actually embraces AI
Mm-hmm.
and even like dealing with all the ethical stuff, which is a whole other can of worms.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Tons to unpack there.
All right, so let's start unpacking these pillars one by one, starting with AI strategy and strategic alignment.
Okay.
Why is this so important? Why do we start there?
So imagine you're building a house, right?
Okay.
You wouldn't just start like laying bricks without a blueprint, would you?
Definitely not. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. And it's the same with AI.
Good.
If you just dive into all these AI projects without a plan, you're going to waste a ton of time and money.
Right.
And you're probably going to miss out on a lot of opportunities.
So this pillar is all about making sure that your AI efforts are actually helping you achieve your bigger business goals, not just like doing cool tech experiments for the sake of it.
Yeah, it's got to be strategic.
Right.
So, for example, let's say a company, they don't really have a clear AI strategy. They're just, kind of playing around with a few things.
Like dabbling their toes in the AI pool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The blog post calls this the initial stage.
Okay.
They might be like messing around with chatbots or, doing some basic data analysis,
Right.
but they haven't really figured out how AI fits into their long-term goals.
Okay. I see how that could be a problem.
Yeah, big time.
So they're kind of wandering around that AI library we talked about, but they don't know which books to grab.
Exactly. And the problem is while they're wandering around their competition, they might have already found the right section,
And they're checking out all the good stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So having a clear AI strategy is like having that Dewey Decimal System for AI success.
I love it.
It helps you, you find the right information, you don't get lost.
You don't get lost. You get to where you need to go faster.
Okay, so strategy is key, but it's not just about having a plan, right?
Right.
You also need to make sure that you're using AI responsibly.
Absolutely.
And that's where the next pillar comes in. AI governance and risk management.
It's a big one.
So this is all about making sure that AI is used ethically and that it doesn't have any unintended consequences.
Exactly. Because think about it. AI is powerful.
Yeah, it is.
And with great power comes
Great responsibility.
great responsibility. Exactly. This pillar is about setting up, the guidelines, the safeguards, the ethical frameworks to make sure that AI is used for good.
Right. So it's like building that house with a strong foundation, but also making sure it's like up to code.
Yeah. Perfect analogy.
You don't want it to fall apart and you don't want it to be like dangerous.
You need both.
Okay. And the blog post talks about how there's this like grading mechanism for each pillar,
Right.
ranging from initial to optimized.
Yeah, it's like a report card for how you're doing with AI.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So for example, let's say a company scores initial on AI governance.
Okay.
What does that tell us?
Well, it probably means they haven't really thought about all the ethical stuff. Like, they might not have policies in place to, deal with bias in algorithms
Right.
or to make sure they're protecting people's data.
So it's like building that house without thinking about safety regulations.
Exactly.
You might end up with some, serious problems down the line.
Big time.
That's kind of scary when you think about it.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that AI isn't just about, the cool tech.
Right.
It's also about the human element and, the impact it has on people.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got strategy and governance, but what about the people who are actually using this AI?
Right.
That's where the next pillar comes in. AI people and culture readiness.
People are at the heart of it.
Yeah, so this one focuses on, making sure your workforce is ready for this whole AI thing. So it's not just about having, data scientists and engineers who can build these systems. It's about everyone in the organization understanding how AI impacts their work.
Exactly.
Right.
So you could have the most amazing AI tools in the world, but if your employees don't know how to use them, or if they're scared of them,
Right.
your AI project is going to fail.
It's like having a fancy kitchen with all the latest gadgets, but no one knows how to cook.
Exactly. You got to know how to use the tools.
Yeah, you're just going to end up ordering takeout.
Pretty much.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this pillar is all about training, upskilling, and creating a culture that's open to using AI.
All about people.
Okay, so let's say a company scores, emerging on this AI people and culture readiness scale.
Okay.
What would that look like?
Well, they're probably taking some good steps.
Yeah.
Like maybe they've started offering AI training programs or they've put together but they haven't fully embraced it as part of their company culture yet.
So they're kind of dipping their toes in the water, but they haven't jumped all the way in.
Exactly.
Okay, so they're making progress, but there's still work to do.
Definitely.
This is fascinating. It's really making me think about how AI maturity isn't just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about the people, the processes, the whole environment around it.
The whole ecosystem.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, and speaking of ecosystems, the next two pillars are all about the tech side of things.
Okay.
We've got AI infrastructure and data readiness, and then AI information technology readiness.
The foundation.
Yes. Let's start with AI infrastructure and data readiness. What does that even mean?
So remember our skyscraper analogy.
Yeah.
You need a strong foundation.
To support all those floors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the same with AI.
Yep.
AI infrastructure and data readiness are all about having that strong tech backbone to support all your AI dreams.
So we're talking about things like servers, internet connections, data storage, all that good stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
But it's not just about having the hardware,
Right.
You also need the right software, the tools, and the people who know how to manage all that data.
The data is key.
Data is everything.
Okay, so let's say a company is at the maturing level for AI infrastructure.
Okay.
What does that tell us?
Well, they're doing pretty well.
Okay.
They probably have a pretty scalable infrastructure, which means it can grow as they need it to.
Okay.
And they're actively working on improving their data quality and making sure it's accessible.
Right, because data can be messy.
Oh, for sure.
So it's like they've laid that solid foundation for their AI skyscraper, and now they're starting to build the first few floors.
Exactly.
You're not at the penthouse level yet.
Not yet.
But they're on their way?
But they're headed in the right direction.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what about AI information technology readiness? How is that different from infrastructure?
So think of it like this. Infrastructure is like the engine of your car.
Oh.
It's the raw power. But IT readiness is like the transmission.
Okay.
It's about how well all the parts work together.
So it's about making sure that all your different IT systems can actually talk to each other.
Yeah, and that they can handle all this new AI stuff you're throwing at them.
Because if they can't,
It'd be a bumpy ride.
it's going to be a bumpy ride. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so what happens if a company scores initial on this pillar?
Well, that's not great.
Yeah.
It means their systems are probably outdated
Okay.
and they're not ready for AI.
It's like trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
No.
It's just not going to work.
It's not going to work. It's going to be frustrating.
Sure, yeah.
It's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
And they're probably not going to get the results they're hoping for.
It highlights how important it is to have that modern, flexible IT environment.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered strategy, governance, people, infrastructure, and IT readiness.
A lot of ground.
We're moving right along.
We are.
But are we missing something? Don't we need to make sure that AI is actually providing value to real people?
You are so right.
It's not just about the technology itself, it's about the people who are using it and the impact it has on their lives.
Exactly. And that brings us to our next pillar, AI focus and customer experience readiness.
Okay, so this one is all about making sure that AI is actually improving the customer experience,
Yes.
not just being a cool gimmick.
Right.
So think about all the ways we interact with AI every day.
Mm-hmm.
Chatbots, recommendations, virtual assistants.
It's everywhere.
This pillar is about making sure that those interactions are actually helpful, seamless, maybe even delightful.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. And I think it's a real balancing act
You do.
between like AI efficiency
Mm-hmm.
and that human touch.
You nailed it.
Okay, so let's say a company is at the emerging stage for this customer experience readiness.
Okay.
What might that look like?
So they're probably starting to experiment with using AI to improve those customer interactions.
Okay.
Like maybe they've got a simple chatbot on their website for customer support, or they're using AI to personalize their marketing emails a little bit,
Okay.
but they're still figuring things out.
So they're kind of like a chef who's just bought a fancy new gadget, but they're still learning how to use it.
I like that analogy.
They're excited about the possibilities, but they haven't mastered it yet.
Exactly,
Okay, so they're on the right track, but there's still room for improvement.
for sure.
All right, we only have one pillar left.
Last but not least,
What's the final piece of this AI maturity puzzle?
so the final pillar is AI, finance, legal, and supply chain readiness.
Okay, that one sounds a bit more specialized.
It is, yeah.
Why is it important for overall AI maturity?
Well, think about it. Finance, legal, supply chain, these are all like the core functions of a business,
Right.
and they're often the areas that have the most valuable data
Okay.
and the biggest potential for improvement with AI.
So it's not just about the customer-facing stuff. It's about optimizing the whole business.
It's exactly.
Okay, so give me an example of what this might look like.
Okay, let's say a company wants to use AI to help with like fraud detection,
Mm.
which seems like a great idea.
Yeah, totally.
AI is perfect for spotting patterns that humans might miss.
Right.
But if they don't have the right infrastructure in place, or if they haven't thought about the legal and ethical implications,
Oh.
it could backfire big time.
So it's like giving someone a powerful tool without any training.
Exactly.
They might end up hurting themselves.
Or someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would it look like for a company to be like doing well in this area?
So if they're doing well, let's say they're at like the defined stage.
Okay.
They would have a clear understanding of how they want to use AI in these areas.
Mm-hmm.
They would have started investing in the right technology and the right people.
Okay.
And they'd be thinking carefully about things like data privacy and security.
So they're being responsible.
Exactly. They're not just rushing in blindly.
Okay, that's good to hear. This whole deep dive into the 7 pillars has been so insightful.
I'm glad.
I'm really starting to see how each pillar builds on the others and how it all comes together to create this framework for AI success.
It's all connected.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's not just about companies, right? This whole concept of AI maturity applies to individuals too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because AI is already impacting our lives in so many ways.
It is.
And understanding these pillars can help us make better decisions
Right.
and find new opportunities in this crazy AI-powered world.
It's a whole new world out there.
It is. All right, so stay tuned for the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll be exploring how these pillars can actually benefit you personally.
Looking forward to it.
Or we'll give you some actionable steps to boost your own AI readiness.
Ah.
But before we wrap up this part,
Mm-hmm.
I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question.
Oh, I love those.
Out of all these pillars we've talked about, if you had to pick one that you think is absolutely essential for both businesses and individuals to focus on, which one would it be and why?
That is a really good question.
I know, right? It's a tough one,
It is tough.
but I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Okay, let me think about this for a sec. Okay, so I've been thinking about your question,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a tough one, but I think I'd have to go with AI people and culture readiness.
Oh, that's interesting. I was kind of leaning towards that one too.
Really?
Yeah, but why do you think it's so crucial?
Well, because at the end of the day, AI is just a tool. right?
Yeah.
And like any tool, it's only as effective as the person who's using it. You can have the most advanced AI systems out there,
Right.
but if your team doesn't know how to use them, or they're afraid of them, or they just resist the whole idea,
Right.
then it's all going to fall apart.
Yeah, it's like having a fancy sports car,
Mm-hmm.
but no one who knows how to drive it.
Exactly. And this is important for individuals too,
Mhm.
as AI becomes more common in our lives, it's important that we understand it and that we learn how to use it effectively.
Yeah, so it's not just about learning how to code or build AI systems.
Right.
It's about developing those human skills that AI can't replicate,
Exactly.
like creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, all that good stuff.
Those are the skills that are going to set us apart in the future.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's not about being afraid of AI.
Mm-hmm.
It's about learning how to work with it.
Right, so how do we do that?
Well, there are tons of resources available,
Yep.
online courses, tutorials, all sorts of things.
Yeah, I guess it's like we're all at the starting line of a marathon,
Mm-hmm.
and the finish line is a future where humans and AI are working together.
I love that analogy.
Yeah, and to get to that finish line, we all need to be prepared.
Absolutely. And that's where this blog post comes in.
Right, unlocking AI success.
Exactly. It's like a training guide for that marathon.
It helps us understand the different stages of AI maturity,
Mm-hmm.
and then it gives us practical advice on how to improve.
Exactly.
It's like having a coach in your corner, cheering you on.
Exactly.
This deep dive has been amazing.
It has been fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've covered so much ground,
we have.
from the 7 pillars to real-world examples,
Mm,
and we even talked about how all of this applies to individuals too.
absolutely.
But it all comes down to one thing. AI is a powerful tool,
It is.
but we need to use it responsibly.
We do.
And that's where understanding AI maturity comes in.
It gives us the roadmap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so for all of you listening out there,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to learn more about this,
Yes.
definitely check out Deborah Pruseth's blog post, Unlocking AI Success.
It's a great resource.
It's full of even more insights or practical tips that we didn't have time to cover today.
Yeah, definitely worth a read.
All right, so until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the world of AI.
See you next time.
Okay, let me think about this for a sec. I think if I had to pick just one,
Mm-hmm.
it would have to be the people one. AI people and culture readiness.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, why that one?
I mean, like we were saying, AI is just a tool, right? It's all about the people using it.
Right.
You could have, like, the most amazing AI system in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but if your team doesn't get it,
Yeah.
if they're not trained up or they're scared of it or they just don't want to use it,
Right.
it's not going to work.
It's like having a supercomputer, but nobody knows how to turn it on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this goes for, like, everyone, not just companies.
Mm.
Like, as AI gets more and more into our everyday lives, we all got to be ready for it.
So it's not just about being a programmer or data scientist or whatever.
Right.
It's about being adaptable, and a good problem solver.
Exactly.
Being creative.
Yeah. All those things that AI can't do,
Yeah, those human skills.
those are the things that are going to be valuable in the future.
I like that.
It's not about, like, fighting against AI.
Right.
It's about figuring out how to work with it.
Yeah. How to be good teammates.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we get better at this people and culture stuff?
Well, luckily, there's a ton of resources out there.
Okay.
Online courses, tutorials, you name it.
So it's like we're all training for this AI marathon, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I like that.
And the finish line is like this future where humans and AI are working together, to solve big problems.
I love that vision.
Me too.
And to get there, we all got to do our training.
Right. We got to be prepared.
Yeah, and this blog post we've been talking about, Unlocking AI Success,
Yeah.
it's like a training manual for that marathon.
It is. It lays out all the steps, all the things you need to know.
Exactly. It's like having a coach right there with you.
This has been such a great conversation.
It really
I
has.
feel like I've learned so much about AI maturity
Me too.
and like how it's not just some abstract concept.
Right.
It's actually something that's relevant to all of us.
Absolutely.
So for anyone listening out there, if you want to dive deeper into this,
Mhm.
definitely check out Deborah Pruseth's blog post, Unlocking AI Success.
Tons of great info in there.
And with that, I think we've reached the finish line of this deep dive.
We made it.
We did. Thanks for joining me on this AI marathon.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to everyone listening, keep exploring the world of AI, and we'll see you on our next deep dive.